Vocabulary. Getting from passive to active. Part 1. You have learned a lot about how to use the context to increase your vocabulary. And you have developed your own personal vocabulary list. So now what? So you have a list of words. How do you learn to use them well? This is what we will talk about in our lesson today. Before we begin talking about passive and active vocabulary, let's look back at some of the skills and techniques that we have developed. We have learned how to use roots and affixes to form and to guess the meaning of new words. We have found that many meanings are contained directly in the text through definitions, synonyms, antonyms, and special words like acronyms and abbreviations. We learned about the feelings that words carry, connotations, and about other words that they partner with, collocations. We have learned to use the context, topic, keywords, grammar, and examples. All of these things will also help you to learn to use the words, not just recognize them. You have also been developing your own personal vocabulary list. Let's think about what you have been learning. You have learned the meanings for the contexts that you were reading or listening to. You learned about the word forms. You also practiced using the words in sentences to help you remember the words better. All of these things can also help you increase your active vocabulary. So, what is passive vocabulary? What is active vocabulary? If you look at the diagrams, you can see that passive vocabulary is the words that you recognize. Maybe you only understand a general meaning, but it is enough to help you understand the whole of what you are reading or hearing. You do not need a lot of specific information about your passive vocabulary. It is the first experience that you have with new words. Your active vocabulary is words that you are comfortable using when speaking or writing. You have experience with these words. You know information that is more specific and more precise definitions for your active vocabulary. Your passive vocabulary is always larger than your active vocabulary. In other words, you recognize more words than you actively use. So increasing your passive vocabulary is not enough. You must get your passive vocabulary into your active vocabulary. So, how do you get a word from your passive to your active vocabulary? Well, you move your passive vocabulary into your active vocabulary by getting more and more experience with the words. How can you do this? Listen to as many things as you can in English. Conversations, news, and yes, even TV and movies. Practice speaking English whenever you can. Even if you're not comfortable, it will get easier. Also, people who have the largest active vocabularies are people who read a lot. So read, read, read. This is the end of part 1.